Hello everybody, so today I wanted to review the computer game Diablo Immortal. Now before I start this, I'm going to preface this by saying, look, I have already been seeing, or at least been aware of, other reviews of it. I didn't actually look at their whole review, but I was aware of headlines saying worst review or worst computer game ever, the lowest review ever recorded on GameStop or whoever it was. And you know, 0.2 out of 10 I think was the average, which is appallingly bad. So I mean, I've seen some pretty bad games in my time. This is a Blizzard game, and Blizzard is sort of known in the industry for having consistently high quality games. They don't produce a lot of them, but they're consistently high quality, and to have that review shocked me. I'd reviewed, or I'd got the beta for Diablo Resurrected, I think it was. I played that for 2 hours, that's all I was allowed to play. I thought it was okay. In fact, I thought it was pretty good. But I was a bit annoyed that I only got 2 hours. That was my limit of how much I was allowed as a beta tester. Then they said, right, buy the game if you want to play it some more. And yeah, okay, so that was a bit annoying with this one. But now with this one, it is a little bit of a different tact, and it's aimed at the mobile phone. Now I played it on the PC because, well, I don't want to play a game like that on my mobile phone. It's too complicated to play on your mobile. So I was perhaps playing it in the wrong way. And when I first started up, it took forever to download, so much to download. And then as soon as I booted it up, first time, it crashed in the login screen. Then I went a bit later, got through the login screen, went to start the game up, and it crashed again. So I had 2 crashes before I even started playing it. But after that, I think it might have crashed once or twice more, but not really all that much, and I managed to play whole sections without it crashing. And for an alpha game, I think it's okay to have some crashes like that. I'm not really going to tell them off for that. I think that's to be expected. Of course, if that came through for the full release, with, you know, that's certainly not what we expect from Blizzard. Blizzard don't have crash games. Other manufacturers do. And you can sort of expect, you can accept a small number of crashes, but Blizzard games very rarely crash, so not compared to some games I play. So I was surprised that this crashed at all, even in alpha. And the second thing that I noticed was that, so when I first started, I was playing, and I played for an hour, and I thought I might only get one login, because sometimes that's all they let you have if you're doing an alpha or a beta test. And I played for a bit over an hour, and as I later found out, that was just the tutorial. And I found it to be pretty easy. It was okay. There was nothing particularly spectacular about it. It felt like a Diablo game. It's sort of even easier than the last version of Diablo, and Diablo seems to be getting easier and easier to play. And it was easy to start with. So yeah, look, I played a monk. It was fine. Easy to follow. There was nothing challenging about it. You know, and I could sort of imagine, yeah, you could probably play that on your mobile phone just with your thumb, pushing. It wouldn't be that hard to do. So, you know, I don't know how they'd account for the 1, 2, 3, 4 for your different special moves, or the R for power ups, but you know, so be it. I'm sure it wouldn't be that hard to figure out. I then was surprised I was allowed to log in a second time. I think most of the betas, well, it depends on which one it is. Sometimes I've got 2 weeks out, but anyway, I got to go in for a second time. And then I passed the tutorial, and then I went, oh, that was a tutorial, because it lasted 2.5 hours for a tutorial, which I thought was impressively long. That's really great. I think that's what you want. And then I was allowed to play with other people, and there were other people in the game with me. And of course, Diablo normally would have a single player version, and then after you get past the single player version, you can play multiplayer. And most people don't bother with the multiplayer version, but this one sort of had them integrated, which I thought was pretty cool. And you know, you suddenly have people, and I'm like, what, are you real people? I thought they were NPCs, but they were real people. And you start to get into it, and it was getting quite good. And then I got to a bit, and it said, oh, you can do this dungeon. And I went, oh, okay, you've got to have some people with you. Oh, okay. And then I finished the dungeon. Actually, I didn't finish it to start with, because I had to log off, I had stuff to do, and I went back, had to do it again. And then it said, oh, redo it, and redo it, and redo it. I'm like, but it's the same dungeon. Now, I don't mind redoing the same dungeon again later on if I feel like it, or a different version of that dungeon, but this was the exact same one, and I had to repeat it 3 times in a row, and it was very boring and very grindy and annoying, and so that wasn't good. And I was looking at all the quests and all that sort of stuff, and it's like, yeah, it's very repetitive. And I know there are a lot of hack and slash games out there. I play Borderlands, and World of Warcraft's probably a bit like that, and it had that sort of feeling, but it had all the worst parts of that. Not the good parts, not the fun parts, because yeah, you put up with it in order to get through to something cool. But this was putting up with it in order to go through to something else like that. There was no cool bits of it. So the cutscenes seemed to be alright. And then probably the worst part of it, there are all these pop-ups for give me money. And I'm like, this is an alpha. Why am I giving you money in an alpha? There shouldn't be any money. And because that's not, that should be in the full game. And there's also microtransactions. And there's a way to do microtransactions that isn't too awful, like the way Hearthstone does it. Sort of having it as an optional extra to make it a bit more fun. Maybe some skins, maybe a mount, maybe something interesting, but not something that makes you a better player. And this was sort of, I didn't really look into it too much, but it looked like it was something to make you a better player, and I really hated that. And it just sort of appeared, blazed in my face, and I was just clicking on claim, and I almost clicked on pay $9, and I'm like, what? I was just getting a little power up, and I almost paid you $9. And that's really bad, and that's just not good at all. And yeah, and look, the quality of it was probably a bit not that good, but it's alpha. Maybe it'll get better later. As far as the graphics and all that's concerned. But look, I mean, it is an alpha, and we've got to take that on board, and it probably will improve. We'd hope it would. I mean, if you're a company like Blizzard that consistently gets 9 out of 10s and 9.5 out of 10s, and you're suddenly getting 0.2 out of 10, you'd think that you'd listen to what people are saying. And so I would expect it to improve as we go along. And I mean, I've seen versions of their games in alpha and beta stages before. I've been lucky enough to get to play them, not for all their games, but some of them. And I've seen them improve since then. Whilst of course StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm, I played that in beta. That didn't improve very much from beta, but that was sort of more, that was already the second title, and so you had the original one to base it on. So certainly when I played Heart of the Swarm? No, Storm. Anyway, the other one, the Storm one, the multiplayer one, that one changed dramatically from beta to the final version. And I played a version of World of Warcraft in beta that changed dramatically to the final version. And so I think that we can say that if this is the final version, I think it's pretty bad. In fact, I'm giving it 4 out of 10, assuming it doesn't change. But I also think that we've got to be aware that Blizzard is a big company. Yes, they did have the sexual harassment issues, but I still think they're a quality product. And even if they have that issue, and I think they can come back. Will they? I'd hope that they would. I mean, they can really go one of 3 ways. They can either abandon it and just say goodbye to all that money. They can rework it perhaps, or they can release it as is and just put up with the loss of money, or they can improve it, and I think they can improve it. The amount of players that were there is enormous. I was playing, and I played probably 4 hours worth, and it said I was 1% of the strength. So sorry, 99% of the players were stronger than me, and I was like, wow, how many players are out there that got higher than I had? I think I got up to level 27, and there were people, level 70 and stuff. And so I'm thinking they've released a lot of the game for people to play, and I think that they can work on it, and I'm hoping that they will get it up to at least an 8 out of 10 game, at least an 8 or 9 out of 10. Maybe it won't be as good as the other ones, but I think it can be better than it was. Anyway, but for the moment, 4 out of 10. All right, that's it from me. Bye bye.